And sadly for Tommy Robinson, he was flouting laws that were to bring people to justice. In this case, it was a case against several men accused of child sexual abuse offences, who he says were Muslim, and no doubt they were, and their crimes are horrific. But he was not imprisoned to silence him. It was not an attack on free speech. He was imprisoned for contempt of court, for reporting on the case and filming the men during the trial when there was a media blackout imposed to ensure that there was no mistrial. Precisely so, the men were brought to justice, which is what I think Tommy Robinson wanted. Otherwise, there would be a mistrial, which would mean either a retrial would have to happen or the men would go free. And even if it was a retrial, that would mean the witnesses, who Tommy Robinson cares so much about, would have to go through the same ordeal, testifying again. These girls would find themselves confronting their attackers, supposedly, in a court of law, once again, because of the actions of Tommy Robinson. But he just couldn't keep his mouth shut. He wanted to confront these men live on camera during the trial and breaching the terms of an existing suspended sentence for doing exactly the same thing. Because Robinson thinks he should be the judge, jury and executioner, ideally live on his Facebook feed. And you can't help feeling he just likes the adulation of having lots of people following him on Facebook. And his imprisonment has made him the alt-right poster boy this week. Like Alex Jones of InfoWars. What a character this is. InfoWars. This is a man who avoids info to fight a war against anything credible. Here's what he had to say about Tommy Robinson.
And we're talking about Tommy Robinson sentenced secretly to 13 months in prison for not covering any details of a giant trial into secret pedophile networks. In just one case, hundreds of victim girls, dozens of men reportedly involved, a lot of the evidence pretty open and shut. No, just for being there and reporting on it. So now, coming up tomorrow, it'll be 7 days Tommy Robinson has been in the hoosegow. So what can you tell us, Kaylin, and jump in here with any questions you have, Owen?
Obviously, he's personally thanked you for all the support, for the people who have supported. He said that he supports the protest that's happening on the 9th. He said he supported all the things that people have been doing to try and raise the profile of this. He basically wants to make a point that this isn't just about him. He wants people to go out and protest about what's happening in Britain. He's going to go down sort of as the one who signifies what's going on. He wants people to go out and protest that, not even his imprisonment. Yeah, I mean, the next stage of this is we also, as well as the legal battle, we want to be meeting with Pauline Hanson, Geert Wilders, and the German. We actually want to arrange a meeting with the German member of parliament, politician, who said that he actually wanted to give asylum, political asylum to Tommy in this case.
Yes, all the right-wing nut jobs, and we just heard some of them just there, are coming out of the woodwork. People like Pauline Hanson from Australia and Geert Wilders, all who have an agenda against Muslims in their respective countries. Now, don't get me wrong, there's no doubt that at least some of these men accused are Muslim. Maybe all of them are, because we did get to see them, because of course Tommy Robinson shot video footage of them. They're certainly not white middle class stockbrokers from the home counties, we can be sure on that. But Tommy Robinson is not in prison because of some secret plot that they were talking about there to stop free speech. One of Tommy Robinson's buddies, for example, compared England to North Korea over this, for crying out loud. He went to prison for contempt of court, for twice breaching contempt of court. But these people want to believe there's some big conspiracy to allow Muslim ways to take control of every inch in our society, and the establishment are in on it. That is the story that they are peddling. There is a conspiracy theory here that is much greater than the conspiracy theories around the moon landings or the flat earth. It is just plain crazy conspiracy. And his supporters say he's likely to be murdered behind bars by Islamic extremists while prison authorities turn a blind eye. That's what they say. Well, we'll see what he's like when he gets out, but I bet you he gets out without a scratch. So Tommy Robinson should be in prison. He's probably going to be at home in prison, by the way, because he's got a bit of form. He's got criminal convictions for assault. He's for being a football hooligan, for drug possession, passport offences, mortgage fraud. It's fair to say he is no saint, and yet he is getting a lot of support. Roseanne Barr this week, who we know is racist. called his arrest a death sentence. She made it clear she was a racist with her own tweet this week. Donald Trump Jr., the president's son, tweeted, reason number 1776 for the original Brexit, he says, don't let America follow in these footsteps, talking about the arrest of Tommy Robinson. So you know what? Maybe we should just forget about this idea of contempt of court. If there's a trial on, we should be able to say anything we want about the people being tried, whether they're guilty or not. Nobody should have the right to a free trial. We should just have mob rule. That seems to be what Tommy Robinson is calling for. And look, the mob's already right up to the son of the American president. I mean, it is disgusting what these men have done, and there's no doubt the majority of people convicted of child grooming through gangs are of Asian origin. Not all Middle Eastern, some of them are Pakistani, Bangladeshi, Indian, Eastern Europeans, not all Muslim. But that is not the case for all paedophiles in this country. I mean, just think of Jimmy Savile and all the middle-aged white celebrities who've been identified over the years. And in fact, if you're looking at grooming gangs, what about Jimmy Savile and all those people who didn't say anything about Jimmy Savile? So there's, you know, it's being used basically as a good reason to justify racism against Muslims. But it's right to focus on this issue of child rape. But he's wrong to make it all about Muslims. Or even worse, which is what I think he's doing, making it all about him. Because this all stems from one court case. Now, let me give you some figures. These figures are disturbing, but it puts a sense of proportion behind all of this. The number of cases we're seeing each year for reported sexual offences against children. Well, let me give you the figures. The latest figures we've got are for 2016. And bear in mind that Tommy Robinson is talking about a case here which I think might involve 15 or 20 young girls being groomed for sex. But in 2016, there were over 45,000 cases. Yes, more than 45,000 cases reported of paedophilia. These are reported cases. Only 1,154 relate to sexual grooming, which is what Tommy Robinson says is being perpetrated by Muslim gangs. So what of the rest? They are probably done by people you know, relatives, white middle-class Brits. If Tommy Robinson is really concerned about the welfare of young children, he should be trying to tackle the cases of young children sexually assaulted by parents, relatives, people they know. Then I think we'd find the proportion of Muslims convicted fall well below the majority. But Tommy won't do that, because this isn't about child abuse. This is about Tommy Robinson's hatred of Muslims.